Hello, how are you doing? Hope you are fine. So, today's lesson formal, informal, and non formal education. In this lesson, we are going to know other vocabularies. So, some vocabularies about unit 3, which is formal, informal, and non formal education. So, let's begin. Of course, if you want to know the meaning of each of them, we should know the differences between them. So, what are the differences between formal and informal education? A formal education means what you learned in school with an with an accredited certificate or degree will be given at the end. Informal education means what you learned from experience or by studying on your own initiative. Formal education is the structured system of learning provided or overseen by a local or national government body for its citizens. Generally speaking, a person's formal education begins at nursery or kindergarten and may stretch on through university. Now, formal education is learning acquired independently through non-academic means. It can either mean that you are self-taught through your own reading and research or through experience. مهم بالنسبة للفرق بيناتهم كما قرينا الناس اللي ما فهموش بالنسبة للفورمال education يعني الدراسة التعليم اللي حكومي اللي مولفين كان اللي قرينا فيه احنا كاملين تقريبا اللي كيبدا من التعليم الأولي وهكا غاديين حتى الجامعة أو ممكن التلميذ يختار شي حاجة أخرى من غير الجامعة. Informal education means يعني اللي هو كتعلم شي حاجة اللي كتعلمها من خارج المدرسة كتعلمها يعني من التجربة ديالك الخاصة في الحياة. ممكن تكون ممكن أنكم يعني تكون experience ديال education نيت ولكن خارجة على نطاق المدرسة. As for formal education, it is an instruction that is not obligatory and structured and is learned outside the context of a formal school. بحال مثلا extra hours learning other languages, evening classes without expecting to be given an accredited or an official certificate. يعني ممكن نقولوا واحد education اللي هي غير نظاميه واللي يعني هي انت تكون حر فيها يعني تعلم ولكن ما كيكونش فيها واحد سيرتيفيكا ولا اتستاسيون ولا اي حاجه اللي متعلقه بالمدرسه. Let's move to some vocabularies about unit 3. Education, the process of teaching or learning in a school or college, or the knowledge that you get from this. Educational systems are established to provide education and training often for children and the young. For example, the educational system is in most underdeveloped countries needs to be reformed. يعني systems النظام التعليمي. Educational goals يعني الأهداف التعليم. Each country identifies the educational goals to be achieved by its educational system. ماشي حنا هنايا كنتعلموا يعني بالنسبة لهاد vocabularies يقدروا أنكم تلقاوهم في text. تقدر تكون عندكم text اللي متعلقة بunit 3 وتقدروا تلقاوهم وما تعرفوش هذا داكشي علاش فكرت انني ندير هاد الفوكابولير في هذا الفيديو. ما تعرف تلقاوهم في text comprehension text or تقدروا تستخدموهم في هذا writing. Yeah. Educational background, school subjects, and private lessons. So let's begin with educational background. Past experience in education. To become an engineer in electronics you need to have a scientific educational background. يعني مكتسبات سابقة اللي تعلمتيها، يعني ضروري غتحتاجها باش انك تولي شي حاجة، يعني تخدم مثلا ولا تعلم شي حاجة من بعد. School subject, a course or area of study, for example mathematics, English, French, physics and extra. يعني المادة اللي كتقراو اللي تقراو، يعني أي مادة، رياضيات، فرنسية، عربية إلى آخره. Private lessons, some students need private lessons to keep up with their mates in learning. Some school subject هما كما كنقولوا دروس الدعم. دروس الدعم ولا كما كنقولوا بالدارجة السوايع اللي كتعاون التلاميذ باش يسيروا التلاميذ الاخرين اللي اكثر منهم في المستوى. not formal education، واخا شفنا هادو ولكن غنعاودو نشوفوهم ماشي مشكل نذكروا بهم. not formal education results from a program but isn't usually evaluated and doesn't lead to certification. Informal education occurs in daily work, leisure or family. Formal education results from a program of instruction in an educational institution leading to a qualification or certification. Let's move to the parts of our education, formal education. So it begins with basic education, which refers to the whole range of educational activities taking place in various settings, formal, non-formal and informal, that aim to meet basic learning needs according to the educational standards classification of education, ISCED. Basic education comprises primary education, first stage of basic education, and lower secondary education, second stage, in countries developing countries in particular. Basic education often includes also primary education and or adult literacy programs. Universal basic education is regarded as a priority for developing countries. So every citizen should acquire at least a basic education to be able to read and write. So basic education هو بطبيعة الحال هو داكشي اللي كنتعلمو، الاساسيات اللي كنتعلمو غالبا كنتعلموهم كما كنقولوا حنا في التعليم الاولي او الروض. Primary education or elementary, we can call it also elementary education, consists of the first years of formal structured education. In general, primary education consists of 6 or 7 years of schooling starting at the age of 5 or 6. Although this varies between and sometimes within countries. So primary education خلاصة هو التعليم الابتدائي اللي كنبداو فيه formal education، كنتسمى formal education. كنبداو بطبيعة الحال من التحضيرات يعني تاع غاديين ندوزو secondary education. In most contemporary educational systems of the world, secondary education consists of the second years of formal education that occur during adolescence. It is characterized by a transition from the typically compulsory comprehensive primary education for minors to the optional selective tertiary, post-secondary or higher education. Example, university, vocational school. For adults, at high school students get secondary education. So secondary education هو اللي تابع primary school اللي هو التعليم الإعدادي والإعدادي. We move to the higher education. Higher education, also called tertiary third stage or post-secondary education, is the non-compulsory educational level that follows the completion of a school providing a secondary education, such as a high school, secondary school. Tertiary education is normally taken to include undergraduate and postgraduate education, as well as vocational education and training. Colleges and universities are the main institutions that provide tertiary education. Collectively, these are sometimes known as tertiary institutions. Tertiary education general results in the receipt of certificates, diplomas, or academic degrees. Thank you so much. Hope you understand the lesson.